Hello cuties, how are you doing? It is July and this is my second video for the month. I am honestly so happy to talk about this cosplay. I didn't expect to make this cosplay, but I only did it because I had the fabric and surplus and I had to get rid of it somehow. So today we're going to talk about my Himekawa Mizuki cosplay, and it is based off of both the art and Megastage's first dream. So here is the actual art design and here is the stage actor. And a lot of things have been recreated in the stage, while some things haven't, and there are very different iterations on both costumes. And for me, I like merging both of the ideas as well as looking at other cosplayers to see what they've made, because I think that the stage is right, but there's things that I would have made differently, and that's because I'm making the cosplay, not someone else. Hence the point of let's merge everything together and make 100% canonically correct cosplay while also imitating the stage, right? Because the stage does provoke really nice ideas, but it's not necessarily how one personally would make it. So anyways, let's get started. And first off, I started with the skirt, since that's probably the most easiest thing that you can start with. This time I actually had the cosplay with me. So here's the skirt. It is just basically circle skirts sewn together. So I started with this yellow tulle fabric. No, this is not tulle. I forget what fabric this is. But thin yellow fabric as a layer. It's a full circle skirt. But somehow it became a square skirt. Don't ask me how that happened. Probably bias in how this thing stretches. Then we have this layer, which is the blue layer. So you're gonna see me go through various stages with this, because the past footage, I have a lot on this skirt because, oh my god. Okay, obviously I'd cut the blue layer first. This is the fashion layer. That was fine. I cut the stripe layer. That was fine too. But when I sewed the stripe layer together, oh my god, okay. I always make it too long, so then I have to cut it in half and then re-sew all the edges and then add to the length of it. Oh, that took forever. And anyways, I do that every single time, so I end up having to line it. So basically, I could have just stitched, sewed it on and then stitched in the disc as you would do with bias tape. But I had issues, so we just bag line it. So we cut a second circle skirt out of this pattern fabric and then sewed it on. Then we sewed on. Well, we didn't sew them on yet. So first of all, I had to make all these little square pieces that are on her skirt. And if you look at the stage, they're made slightly differently. And if you look at the art, they're made slightly differently. So I just went with a bunch of pieces. So as you can see, there's lace. There's this metallic fabric that you see left over from Hajime. And we have the mute fabric as well. Sorry, I didn't see that mute blue because it kind of blends in. You can see it because of the diamonds. Yeah. So when I did this, I just sewed them on top of each other. And I ironed them together and just sewed them one by one onto the cosplay as I wish they would sit. So then we have the shape that's supposed to happen. And, well, in different fabrics, because I think the stage uses some sort of see-through fabric, tulle, mesh, whatever, and it's iridescent. I didn't opt for that because I wanted to use all these lace that I had, and I think that using the lace just gives it a different texture. Same thing with the iridescent. It gives you this different color, but the lace gives you a different texture to look off of, and it looks more interesting, I'd say. So yeah, and I did use the lace in the shirt, so I wanted to make it cohesive. So yeah, and then I added the gems on. As you can see, it's already doing the sort of floofy thing. Mizuki's skirt is kind of like a bubble skirt that it goes in and goes out. But if you look at, so that's on the stage. If you look at the actual art, it doesn't necessarily do that. It goes in because of the seam here, but then it comes out at the bottom because of the flare bottom. I guess you could have made them two separate pieces, but it doesn't look like that on the artwork. on our original artwork. So doing it this way, you have that bubble effect, but it still flares out like it should. And on the other hand, it also gives you these gorgeous floofy bits, or, you know, what are these called? Like convex parts. Sorry, that's not what I need either, but it gives you this gorgeous ruffle. And that's the fabric I used underneath, giving it that, and as well as the thickness of this here. Well, I could have used horsehair because I made a mistake and I have the thickness of the seam here. It gives us that effect. So, but it's exactly what I wanted, and it's the shape that I wanted. So I always comment about this because Cure Star has this gorgeous, you know, ruffle like that, and it's always something that I aspire to recreate on any cosplay that I can. And while I haven't made Cure Star, it's just a really, really nice feature on a Pretty Cure cosplay that I wanted to incorporate into others. It's just a really good inspiration. So I've done that here, and I feel really happy with it. Because Cure Stars is essentially just shorter, and then to really emphasize those, you would add wire into them. But like, this is really content. And to finish up the skirt, I sewed on the waistband. Actually, I had to do this seam first. There's a seam here. Right, so here is the shirt. So first off, I used a pattern that my mom had pre-cut. I was going to use the Sailor Moon pattern from, I will insert the image here. There's a pattern that I have. And it looks vaguely similar, so it doesn't really matter.
You know, because I'm procrastinating, that I've screwed up. So this is fine. This sleeve was fine, so I gotta pin those together. But this one. So first time I had to seam rip it, I tore through the first sleeve, or the
basic shirt pattern. Like, so I made the top, and then here's the back. It is a corseted back. So someone smaller than me will fit it, essentially. And I should have considered someone bigger than me, but I kind of, this is where I screwed up. I should have made it a bunch bigger, but I didn't, and this is why we have this. So yeah. See, as you can see, I made the sleeves with the lace instead of the tulle or the see-through iridescent fabric that we see throughout the stage. I think it just gives another layer of interest and detail to the cosplay. And the sleeves. Okay, I know it's supposed to be feathers, but my thing with feathers, Suki likes using feathers, and you notice with my Haruki-yo cosplays, I kind of avoid using feathers until I have to. And if I put feathers on the strap, this is where you're gonna have some issues. You're gonna be putting on the sleeve, and then you're gonna be like, there's feathers everywhere. You can notice that in the stage, and you're like, I don't know how Karen feels about that. Especially with me being a dancer for like 10 plus years, I know what it's like to have feathers on a costume and then have it dye in my armpit or dye in my, yeah. It's not fun. So that's why I opted for the Minky type fleece fabric. It is thicker. You're gonna sweat more. However, you're not gonna get irritated. And that is my spiel about feathers. Okay, so on the back of it, I have the corseting bit. I have a button to close it if we need to. And I do have a lace backing to cover this up. This is a little tiny layer that was at the bottom of it. I'm not exactly sure what fabric it should be made of, but I just used the same fabric as the white because I've noticed people do that. And I have it detachable. So if you notice at the bottom of the shirt and on the lining, there is buttons and loops. So loop, button, and it goes on like that. And I believe I did 5. So 4, and then the 5th one's over here. And it's already coming out for us. Note of. And I want to note that I also bag lined the shirt. And I put the details on before bag lining it, so everything would be tucked inside. So we have this pre-made and pre-made, and I know that this piece is smaller. The reason why I did it bigger, just for proportion, but also the fact that you can hide it within the seams. Like, you know, there is a seam, so basically, oh, you can see it on my dress. So there's a seam here naturally, so I wanted to follow that natural seam. So let's talk about the bow. It's a simple bow. I made it wrong the first time and I had to take it apart and resew it. This bow is particularly sat, and if you look at the stage, I'll pull it up again, it uses an iridescent fabric. Well, the actual art is like a matte. It might be iridescent, it might be shiny, I don't remember, but I wanted to go with the matte, especially comparing with all the details I already have on it and what's shiny and what's not shiny. So when I make cosplay, I take note of what's shiny, what's not shiny, what's textured, what's not textured, matte, and you know, all those sorts of things, because I want the cosplay to stand out, but I also don't want it to eat up each other. I mentioned in the bow that we have a little pin backing here that takes it on and off. We will get to the actual chains, because that is the part of the stage that I love so much. I think I mentioned on my Yuki cosplay that was probably the most cutest feature that they did, incorporating the gold designs that they already had. So you can see where they're connected. There are lobster clasped on, so you can just remove it as you need it to. And even in this one, it's hidden under the button. And with the buttons, obviously I did select some buttons to use out of what I had in storage, because they're all just mixed magical buttons anyway. Okay, so now we're going to talk about this little bit here. I sewed it on. I could have done the detachable thing, but again, it's just ribbon and a button, and yeah, I did glue the ends down. I hate fire, so I glued the ends down and you don't even notice them. So these are hand painted, which is acrylic paint because the lace is pretty stiff. And then I've hand sewed it to the stockings. Okay. And then Mizuki has a bracelet. I know she has a hair clip, but it's just small and green. So I just used like some flowers that I had, and like it's a flower hair clip is what I'm trying to say. But you can use whatever green hair clip. And this is her bracelet. So what I did was take this heart trim, which you see a lot of people use. It's very difficult to get heart trim, so this is probably the closest you can find. And then it's just stitched together at the tip and the center, because it came like horizontally, which like this way, heart, heart, heart. So I took it apart and then hand stitched it together. And then to add on, because I didn't have enough, we have these 3 hearts here, just adding to it. It's just an embroidered heart trim that I had that I removed and then sewed together the same. And then for the actual bracelet, so these are 2 gem bracelets that I ordered online, and there are just little jump rings holding it together at the sides of the heart where I need it to be. Those on the wrist. Forgive me if it's backwards, because I don't remember. I never remember. But yeah, it just slides on and slides off, and then the bracelet looks like this. Okay, cuties, that is my Mizuki cosplay. I won't be trying on that cosplay today, and so I'll be putting some footage on when I did try it on before and shoot it all for you guys, because today is Mizuki's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mizuki. That's all for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you cuties later. Bye.